She was born in the outskirts of Seoul to an American GI and a young Korean woman. He was born in Alsace, France, land of pork and cabbage. She was put up for adoption at 3 and then lovingly raised in Virginia by her new family. He was 16 when he began his apprenticeship. She found her birth mother when she was 19. He came to America and became one of the world's greatest chefs. They fell in love and married over a decade ago. Now, Jean-Georges and Marja return to her birthplace to chronicle the tastes and traditions of Korea. These are the Kimchi Chronicles.
Jeju Island. They call it the Hawaii of Korea. The island is famous for its henyo, female divers, who go down to 20 meters without oxygen, the prized Abalonian sea urchin. But Jeju is also a fertile and lush place for growing fruits and vegetables, and has a distinct cuisine all its own. Jeju lies at the southernmost tip of the Korean peninsula. It shares open waters with the Yellow Sea and the Strait of Korea. Hop on a plane in Seoul and in less than an hour, you're in Jeju-do. Most of this volcanic island has been kept pristine, with lush forests and rugged seacoast. Mythology has it that a giant goddess sculpted the island out of mud. She was so tall she could straddle Jeju from one end to the other. She came to her demise by falling into a giant pot of soup and was eaten unwittingly by her 500 sons. Ji-soon Kim is a Julia child of the island. She literally wrote the book on traditional Jeju cuisine. She was gonna show my sauerkraut and pork-loving husband how to make moomguk, a stew made from pork, seaweed, and year-old kimchi, all simmered in a rich broth. It was early in the morning, by my standards, very early, when Jean-Georges met up with Ji-soon Kim and her son Yang Hoo-jin at the 5-day market in Sukkipo. 5-day markets, true to their name, are only open every 5th day, a system dating back 700 years to the Joseon dynasty, when it would take farmers, fishermen, and vendors roughly 5 days to move from town to town to set up their food stalls. Dressed in a traditional hanbok, Professor Kim was shopping for pork and moom, a local aromatic seaweed that blends perfectly with aged kimchi and balances the pork in her recipe. My husband's eyes start to twinkle every time he enters a food market, and true to form, he went bananas.
This is good. What are those over there? I love to try this. This is a beautiful market, huh? So it's like a bread, it ferments by itself, huh? So many things, so many varieties. What a technique, huh? I like the technique. Whoa, I've never seen so many kimchi there. But this is really spectacular. Beautiful. Delicious, huh? Amazing, look at the size of those things. Oh my God. Heavy, huh? You gonna get some pork today? Yeah. Pork and seaweed together. Yeah. She's gonna buy the seaweed now?
Yeah, seaweed.
Little, seaweed. She's gonna use this for the soup? No. Over there. All the way over there. Okay. Over there. Nice. So this is the specialty of the island?
Chari.
Chari. Yeah. We have this in the south of France called galinettes. Flies, huh? Mm-hmm. And on this side you have all the dry fish, huh? Over there. Seaweed?
Yeah, seaweed.
We're gonna find that seaweed soon, huh?
Finally.
Here we are, the seaweed. Why she like this particular seaweed?
돼지고기 삶은 국물에 가면 궁합이 막 이렇게 좋아가지고.
It smells like tea, almost.
tea.
Like tea from the ocean.
먹는데.
Like green tea. Do we have all the ingredients?
Yes. Okay, let's go. Yes.
At Jeju Folk Village, Professor Kim had a rich pork broth already simmering over an open fire.
So this is the pork broth with the fresh bacon.
Boil, yes.
Pork belly, yeah?
Yeah.
That looks good, very nice. Wow. Pork belly is my favorite. No knife, by hand.
Yes.
It's like Spring onion?
Yes.
Scallion?
Yeah.
자, 이거는 이제 썰어야 돼, 이제는.
Here we go. That's the stomach of the pig, yeah?
Yes.
이거 씻을 때 막 밀가루로 주물러 씻는다고 얘기해.
와.
소금으로 씻고 밀가루로 씻고.
Oh, smell this. In France, we have a sausage called andouille.
Andouille.
Yeah, it's made of like pork stomach and innards and intestines. But this combining, I think, the pork on the ocean.
Vegetables.
When it gets tender, it keeps the texture.
질기진 않지? 질기진 않고. 자, 이렇게 해서.
Seaweed.
Seaweed.
When the seaweed was dry, so this is just like washed.
Wash it about 5 times? 5 times, yes.
She took a long time to pick up the seaweed. Huh? She went to the entire market
Yeah.
until she found a supplier.
안
Yeah.
뜯어서.
Well, this is kimchi.
Yeah, kimchi. We chopped and put
It goes in the soup as
yeah.
well. How old is that kimchi?
Last year.
Last year.
Yeah.
So it's last year kimchi. And you can tell the color of kimchi changes. You know, when it's fresh, the cabbage is very white with the chili, and then as it gets older, it gets a little more
getting yellow.
melting yellow.
자, 이제는 좀 끊게 하라. 좀 끊었다가 저 고기 꺼내야 되니까.
And now we're gonna add the pork stomach, scallion, the last year kimchi,
Yeah.
on the seaweed. Wow, look at that. Amazing. How long is she gonna cook this for?
한 20분 정도 끓이면 되죠, 이 정도면.
20 minutes?
Yes.
The broth looks amazing, huh?
자, 가릭.
Garlic?
Yes.
Always garlic.
페퍼.
Soy sauce. Couple spoons. This dish tastes better with the wood fire or on gas?
이게 맛있는데 요새는 다 가스로 하잖아.
But for her, the flavor, she's
요새
better.
이거 하는 사람이 없지?
So she binds the soup with the slurry, the water on buckwheat flour. Wow, look at this.
이게 넣음으로써 이제 다 같이 융합을 잘 시켜주니까.
Looks perfect, huh? And she's on her legs like that for so long, man. I'd be like, I couldn't get up anymore.
옛날에 힘들었는데 여자들이 그때는 병이 안 걸렸어. 자, 이게 불 때.
Yeah.
It's ready?
이렇게.
That looks delicious. It feels like, yeah, instead of a cabbage on pork, it's like a seaweed on pork. My mother doesn't put kimchi, pork and cabbage soup. But this is
Pork and cabbage soup.
we do yeah, at home. No seaweed,
해초는
no
없죠.
chili. So it's a bit different. Oh my god.
뜨겁다.
Very hot.
It's amazing. So Mike.
Yes.
Wow.
정말?
Delicious. Wow.
How about the sauce?
맛있네?
맛있어요. 맛있어요.
맛있네요.
예, 감사합니다. 감사합니다.
Babe, that reminded me of you and your mom running around the market.
She was picking out, there was like so much seaweed there, and she just went to
She knew.
one person. Like my mom, she has a supplier on the place she goes to, and that's it. No
And
place
that's
else.
it.
She bought a piece of pork belly. She did a pork broth. Pork belly, water, onions, scallion. And we're gonna cook it probably for a couple hours until the pork belly is tender.
All right, well, now I'm going to show you my favorite cabbage pork soup. It's called kimchi jjigae. I'm going to slice up a
Onions?
half an onion. Just going to kind of do a rough chop.
You're gonna add that to the bacon?
Yes.
It's crispy, huh?
Yeah, a little crispy. I'm going to add the kimchi. One of my favorite ways to do it, instead of pork, sometimes I don't feel like having meat in there, I add a can of tuna. So I'm going to add some water now.
Yeah, it's a lot of kimchi.
I know, that's why they call it kimchi jjigae. A little less than covered. I'm gonna let this simmer for about 30 minutes. Although one of my favorite places in Korea does their kimchi jjigae in 7 minutes.
7 minutes?
And they're famous for it. Seoul Shukdang is known for 2 dishes, Jeju bulgogi, a spicy grilled pork, and an even spicier kimchi jjigae. I was out with my cousin Kunwan and Jennifer Flynn, a food blogger with a Wikipedic knowledge of Korean cooking. After gorging ourselves on spicy grilled pork, washed down with a few shots of soju, we somehow managed to down a bowl of 7-minute kimchi jjigae. This is the magic coming. This is 7-minute kimchi jjigae, which is amazing because I boil my kimchi jjigae for like 30 minutes. I don't know how they do it. You know what's so important about Korean cooking? I find the heat.
Well, everything is boiled, steamed, stir-fried, or grilled.
Right. Look at that. Is that got perfection in the spoon? Look at this.
I like to use really, really sour kimchi.
Me too.
Well, actually, that's normal though, because kimchi jjigae used to be a way to use up the last of the winter kimchi.
Right.
And over the winter, you make it in November, and then over time it gets more and more sour. A lot of people find it too sour to just eat. So yeah, you boil it and it takes off that edge.
It's amazing how something so simple, kimchi and water and some heat and a little pork can become a complete meal.
This is almost ready.
Oh, good.
I need
Wow,
to
that
get
really
the rest of my
Ingredients together?
yeah. Last year kimchi, she said.
Last year kimchi.
So it's like the whole
this
kimchi?
is actually last year's kimchi.
Is it?
I've been hiding it.
No. I'm gonna just add a little bit of juice here.
All right, so I got you hooked on kimchi juice, huh?
Absolutely. And then, which I love about that dish is really combining the sea on the earth, the nice seaweed in there. So chopped up as well.
Mm-hmm.
We need to take out the pork belly. Here we are. Look at this.
Beautiful.
So kimchi, 1-year-old, seaweed. There we go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, simmer for 20 minutes. We want the seaweed to be
Super soft.
nice and soft. A little texture, but softer. So we're gonna give a little twist to Mrs. Kim pork and kimchi. I love caramelized pork belly.
Yeah.
I like a little drop of sesame oil.
It's a nice
A
combo
little more
with pork.
flavor here. The last step here is buckwheat flour. You know, I think Korean eat a lot of buckwheat noodles and things, and I call it a slurry. I never see a slurry with buckwheat flour. Has a great nutty flavor, so I'm adding a little water. So the slurry is really the binding agent.
Yeah, it looks like a batter.
Then we're binding the soup. Here we go.
Let's check mine. Yup, mine's done.
Beautiful.
It's there.
I see we're ready at the same time.
That was great timing.
Looks amazing.
It smells good too.
Yeah,
And I
totally.
do my last little garnish. This is called Kim, but it's seasoned dry seaweed laver.
Wow.
It tastes good in here.
All right, here we go. Pretty good texture.
That looks so good.
Here we go. Little
Oh, you
pork
put that
belly.
on top?
Yeah, a couple slices of
Ooh,
pork belly. Nice and crispy.
beautiful. Let's try.
Let's try it.
Okay, so which soup do you want to try first?
I'll show you
Oh, good
kimchi
choice.
jjigae. Wow, this is so delicious.
It's a good compliment to kimchi. Try yours now.
This is delicious.
Oh yeah, the kimchi seaweed combo is nice. It's got a really good spice though. It's like perfectly balanced. Babe, this is pretty darn perfect. I think the one thing that could improve this would be a slice of American cheese. Seeing the Amore Pacific Tea Garden for the first time, row after row of perfectly manicured tea plants, stretching to the horizon, just blew us away. Once again, my husband turned into a little kid, running through the fields like a French schoolboy set loose in a vineyard. And Chloe pursued her passion, capturing tadpoles from around the world. As for me, these tea leaves had a more personal significance. After all, when it comes to looking young, a girl needs all the help she can get. And lucky for me, I don't have to go to Jeju every time I run out of skincare products. According to historians, Buddhism and tea arrived in Korea by way of China sometime in the 4th century. Over the next several hundred years, tea drinking and tea ceremonies would go in and out of fashion. After World War II, visionaries like Amore Pacific founder Sung Hwan-seo began recognizing the health-giving properties of green tea. Then tea drinking in Korea really caught fire. Today, we're meeting up with my friend and drinking buddy, tea drinking buddy that is, Susan Kim.
Look at this place. It's green tea paradise.
It sure is.
Wow, as far as you can see. You can see everywhere.
Well, there are 800 acres of perfectly manicured, lush green tea gardens.
I love it.
We're located at the base of Mount Hala. It's an extinct volcano. And because of the volcano, the soil is rich with minerals and amino acids that make for nutrient-packed green tea. And also the volcanic rock purifies the water. Jeju is famous for its clean, pure mineral water. And of course, we're on an island, so the climate is temperate year-round. Look at these perfectly manicured rows of green tea. 안녕하세요.
안녕하세요.
Marja, Jean-Georges, this is Mrs. Jung, an Amori Pacific tea farmer.
Fabulous.
네, 천물 녹차잎을 따고 있습니다.
She's picking the first harvest green tea. But after you plant the green tea, you have to wait 5 years before you can actually use the green tea.
It's very similar to wine. You know, to wine. And,
Wine하고 비슷하네요.
yeah, you have to wait a certain time before you can have the right grape, you know.
Yes.
But I feel very zen. I feel like I'm back in Alsace where I pick up my first grapes for the harvest. Can you eat it, I guess?
이거는 다 유기농으로만 재배한 거라서 땅의 기운만 다 받아가지고 이거 자라난 거라서 아주 깨끗하고 여기 공기가 너무 맑고 청정 지역이라서.
Now that we've picked all the green tea, shall we go and roast it and drink it?
Absolutely.
Yes, we should.
When it came time for the tea roasting, Chloe reappeared, having just liberated the last of her Korean tadpoles.
So they've been picked and dried before, now we're going to roast them.
Yes, and this is called the tteokgum process.
Tteokgum.
Yes, and this is a traditional Korean method.
So we're just thoroughly drying and mixing the tea.
How hot is this?
It ranges from 180 to 300 degrees Celsius.
Wow.
Celsius. So it's about 400 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh, you have to reach the bottom?
Yeah, but the bottom is very hot.
Wow. Smells really good.
Okay, one more time.
Dad, see the bottom. You're not...
Not peeking, see the bottom. We never give him a break. All right, so now that we've seen the toasted, can we try some?
Absolutely.
Great, so this is the tea we just roasted.
Yes, absolutely. Traditionally, there's an entire green tea ritual around drinking green tea. Ginger's going to show us how to do that. We recommend using lukewarm water.
Okay.
It just gives it a more smooth taste.
We let it steep for how long?
For about 1 minute.
Okay, are you counting?
Can you pick in?
No. So impatient.
You have to wait for the dried leaves to soften.
Okay.
So we place the teacup on our
Right.
left hand,
Left
and we wrap our right hand around the cup.
Okay.
We lift it, and we look at the color,
Ooh, the color's pretty.
and then we take a sip.
This always tastes better when you go to the source. Whoa!
Oh my God. All in all, it had been an amazing afternoon. And before leaving, we had to say thanks and goodbye to the Amori Pacific founder, Seung-Hwan So. Babe, I was just reminiscing about our time in Jeju Island when we were running through the... Well,
Running.
you were running through the green tea
That
fields.
was wonderful. I love it.
The colors are so vivid. We're gonna do a green tea that's vivid. And this is the same green tea that came from all those fields we were having such a good time in. I'm going to put 4 tablespoons into 4 cups of water.
So granite is you just freeze it, so it's not like a sorbet in the machine.
Shaved ice, I guess, would be the best way to describe it.
Look at this color.
I know, and the smell. Mmm. All right, and then we have to do 2/3 a cup of honey.
It's quite bitter, the green tea.
Yeah, the honey just kind of balances it a bit, and I'm gonna add some fresh ginger. 2 teaspoons, I guess. Make sure that honey gets incorporated because you want it very
Try
sweet.
this.
It's not ready. I'm gonna pour this in here in a shallow baking
color.
dish. Yeah, it's gonna be great when it's set. Babe, can you open the freezer?
Absolutely.
And I don't mean the refrigerator drawer. All right, so that just needs to set for a bit.
So that in.
All right, babe, so I'm finished with my green tea granite. In the meantime, I'm gonna have a meeting.
I have something for you to try when you come back.
Oh, yay, I'm hungry. All right.
Great. See you later. I'm doing a raw dish. So I'm just doing like thin slivers of scallop. I'm gonna do 2 dishes. This one is she's very simple, adding the scallops, This is my scallop shell here. You don't want it fresh like that. I like them simply raw on a very simple seasoning, salt, chili powder, some lime juice. That's the acid, a little bit of olive oil. And then the last touch would be a sprinkle of green tea powder. Let it infuse for 5 minutes. What I'm gonna do is a similar dish, but this time I'm cutting the scallop in half. I'm gonna simply grill them. So either or, you can actually serve both the raw scallop or the cooked scallop. We're just gonna season them with salt, chili powder, sesame oil. The kitchen is so quiet without my wife here. You can feel them, they get firm. They're very mushy when they're raw, when they get firm. What's important with the scallop is really to keep them not overcooked, really keep them slightly under. So they're almost done. 2 seconds, I'm gonna cut a lime to serve with it. The scallops are ready. I'm just gonna serve this simply with a lime, a little drizzle of sesame oil, the last touch of the green tea powder. Where's my wife? She's taking quite a long time.
Right, so I've got my granite.
What a color.
This is the texture you're looking for, so.
Very nice.
I don't do those little scoops like you do, but.
Granite like that is like a slushy,
Right.
Look at this.
It's gorgeous. I love green tea. And it's good for you. It's a good antioxidant.
Your skin looks great, baby.
Thanks,
The
babe.
peppering was good.
Yes, it was.
That's good.
It always is.
That looks beautiful.
Great. Okay, so you can just
Garnish
a
around.
little color.
I love recurrent. Very colorful. Gorgeous.
That's a little.
Oh, a little secret weapon here.
A little lime zest.
Gorgeous.
Okay, now what did you do here? Ooh,
Raw
this looks
scallop?
so good.
Try. It is like a slivers of raw scallop. A bit of olive oil, salt, chili flakes.
Beautiful.
On green tea,
Amazing.
lime juice, the ceviche.
Mmm.
Can you taste the green tea?
The green tea is really nice with the lime. It's a good combo.
And those are just grilled, same ingredients, a little chili.
Beautiful.
But I use sesame oil.
Mmm. The smoky flavor is amazing. That's for you.
That looks delicious.
And so easy to do.
Yeah.
Little berry.
Wow.
Good?
Honey, ginger.
One final note. John George was so inspired by what he saw at the 5-day market that he went back to buy food to cook with the chefs at the Podo Hotel. He found langoustines that he whipped up with the halabong and kimchi mayonnaise, red snapper broiled with a warm fresh kimchi, and a stir-fry of local wild mushrooms. Everybody pitched in. His crazy buddy Magnus, our amazing food producer Julia, even Chloe lent a hand. Needless to say, with Jean George at the stove, it was banging. And so, as the sun sets slowly over the island, it's goodbye for now, but not goodbye forever. Kimchi Chronicles returns next week to Jeju Island.